Anybody? Okay, we'll do a roll call. We'll call the meeting to order from Monday, March 4th, 2019. Clerk call roll, please.
Alderman Putoff.
Here.
Ferrari.
Here.
Waldorf.
Here.
Lukosius.
Here.
Radke.
Here.
Sapienza.
Here.
Payton.
Here.
Ballard.
Here.
Mayor Harrell.
Here. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, no public comment. Presentation. We have a presentation from the Peru BB Gun Club. You want to come on up here and tell us what happened and give us the events and how many shooters you had during the year? And I know it's very nice down there and quite a few people enjoy it.
Yes. Okay, we have Gary Olson, Greg Vaccaro as directors. We have a couple of the top shooters, top 5 shooters of the BB Gun Club here. I want to thank the City Hall, or the City Council, for letting us use the room downstairs. Once again, we had a great year. We started off with approximately 55 shooters, and we ended up with 39 active shooters. This year, we had the top shooter was Grace Scolari, second was Cullen Rose, and note Cullen Rose, both Grace and Cullen Rose had 3 perfect targets. Emily had 3 perfect targets, and Cullen Rose had, when we had the shoot-off against Oglesby, he was the only one that had a perfect target out of all the 12 shooters that were there. We finally beat Oglesby by 1 point. We've always been close. They beat us by 11, beat us by 18, and stuff like that. So finally, the trophy is in our hands now. And what we're looking for is, I guess, talking to Gary, the recreational department said that maybe we would have another session with BB guns during the summer. We're looking forward to that. Also want to invite the city council to come on down and maybe try their hand. The mayor's already showed, you guys get smart, he's a pretty good shot, so watch it. So if you'd like to come down, we'd like to have you. If you know of any organization that'd like to try it, we'd like to have them come down. Mendota has been down and visited us, and they're looking to start a program themselves. So they're kind of mimicking it off of us, which we mimicked off of Oglesby. So that's it, and I'd like to present the trophy. Come on. Bring that sweatshirt out.
Where's Ralph?
And Greg, you're sitting back there. You're a little coy about this, but Greg was here from the beginning back in 2012.
Greg is the man.
Right, and thank you very much for that. We'll have this displayed inside the glass right over on the corner of the building so we can show it off for the next year. And you call it points, I call it one lonely BB out of 1,800 and 1,733 to 1,732. That's amazing. One BB for all of it. Right. Thank you very much. Very proud of this. Okay. Do we have a motion to receive the regular minutes and place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Do you have a motion to receive the financial reports and place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Do you have a motion to receive the activity reports and place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Move on to Finance Safety Services. Chairman Putoff.
Alderman Radke, would you update us on disbursements tonight?
Yes, Your Honor. Total disbursements to be paid on March 6, 2019 are $3,921,751.81. I move this report be received, placed on file, and the bills paid in the usual manner.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
We have a motion and a second to receive the disbursements, place on file, and pay the bills in the usual manner. Is there any discussion?
Yes, the reason for the little bit elevated disbursements would be the $1.5 million payment to the Peru Public Schools for the bond payment for these schools that we collect the sales tax for, and then remit that money to the school once a year.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye. Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordering of a new police squad car under a state bid program with expected delivery in approximately 4 months. Chief, you want to add anything to that?
It's just part of the annual fleet maintenance or replacement program. About every 4 to 5 months, we replace a vehicle, and this will be through the state bid. And then you'll see a little bit later in the agenda where we'll be selling a vehicle to the village of Waston. So we're replacing them at the right time. We're getting very, very good dollars on the trade. You'll see that we're going to receive $10,000 for that vehicle, and then we'll be taking money out of our enforcement account, sending that money over to the general fund to purchase these vehicles. So we've got a good program in place, and we're maintaining a very good fleet of vehicles.
Thank you. I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yes, I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve ordering a new police squad car under the state bid program. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call, clerk call roll, please.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye. Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, we have a motion on the agenda tonight to renew the Illinois Valley Regional Airport liability insurance of AIG through Diamond Brothers for the amount of $9,208. We sent this out this year to 10 different companies. 5 chose not to bid, and this is only a 5% increase over last year. So I'd like to make that a motion.
I second that.
Have a motion and a second to authorize renewal of Illinois Valley Regional Airport liability insurance with AIG through Diamond Brothers. Is there any discussion? A roll call, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye. Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, in other financial matters, currently right now the Finance Committee is working on finalizing, updating the budget, which should be presented to the City Council very shortly. Also looking on long-range revenues as far as budgeting for the number of infrastructure improvements that our city needs to obtain over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, and we're looking at, again, fiscal matters in those. So, again, progress in Peru.
Anyone else on finance? Okay, we'll move on to public services. Chairman Waldorf?
Yes, Your Honor. To start with, I'll make a motion to award
the bid for the Area 1 Phase 4 sewer separation project to the lowest responsible bidder, Ski Seal Coating and Maintenance Incorporated, in the amount of $1,510,461.05.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Eric, you have a comment for me?
Sure. As you mentioned, this is Area 1, Phase 4. We're going back over to an area, Area 1, Phase 3 had left off just north of the bagel shop. This area will continue north, up near and around the splash pad area, near the library, and a portion around Washington Park. It's a fairly large phase of sewer separation for us. We had an engineer's estimate of $1.8 million on the project. We had 9 bidders with a spread from $1.5 million to just over $2 million. So it was actually a pretty tight spread, and our engineer's estimate was right in the middle of that. So I'm happy with the number that we got. We did have a good turnout for the bids, so I'd recommend moving forward. And the reason we'd like to award tonight as well is we do have a portion of the project that has some tree clearing, and we've identified Indiana fat for our EcoCast system, and we need to clear those trees before middle April.
Again, and Eric, I just want to say, and I know the answer to this, but I wanted you to reassure me. But if you do look at that low bid, there's a number of items that have nothing in them, or a trench backfill that has very limited, $40, while some of the other contractors have up to $172. Now, you are assuring me that the project still will be done.
That's correct.
It's just a matter of the contractor failing to put those exact numbers down on the bid sheet, right?
So, as I've preached in years past, I believe in full oversight, construction oversight. We always have an individual on our construction projects. So we hold the contractors to the highest standard, the specs that we put out. Much like previous years, we've had instances where line items have had cheap dollar amounts in them. The contractors are made well aware that if they don't comply with the specifications, it's not a failure to do that line item, it's everything that line item affects. So they stand to lose a lot of money if they don't install that properly just because they have that low cost. So we do monitor that. We do quite a bit of testing every day. Our people in the field provide daily reports to me. We have weekly kind of tailgate meetings with the contractor, and we have bi-weekly progress meetings with them. So we hammer out any of those issues as the project goes on. But yes, through full construction oversight, we're able to manage that very closely.
Eric, what's the time frame on this?
So as everybody knows, the sewer separation projects are lengthy. So it would be a late fall finish. Again, we would do everything in our power to speed that process. But as you know, when we're dealing with underground utilities and areas of town that are old, there's a lot of surprises that come up through the project. So it is in our interest to kind of get through areas and get them passable in a quick amount of time. So we'll work through that with the contractor, but I'd anticipate this is a full season project. We have special deadlines built into the project to help us around the areas that are around the parks with the splash pad and summer baseball and events like that. So we're well aware that it's a busy area at certain times of the year, so we'll be conscious of that during construction.
But we do have a conclusion date, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then this is EPA mandated project, like we've been doing every year for the last...
That's correct. It's part of our long-term control plan. Every year we do sewer separation per the EPA mandate. We're marching along every year, as everybody knows. We're doing quite a bit, but we still do have a long way to go. I think projected we're still about 15 years out from completion, so we have quite a bit to do.
This will go up Plain Street along the back of the splash pad.
That's correct.
So at one time last year, I don't know if this was resolved, we had a resident that had trouble, I think every time the splash pad regenerated itself or something, this resident was getting a lot of rust.
Yes.
And are we replacing all the water main through there to alleviate that?
We are. We're addressing those issues as well.
Thank you.
And then that's going to be in a very busy spot with the baseball parks and the splash pad. It's going to be busy. Does the contractor, do they need to follow any different guidelines as far as covering every day?
Yeah, so we have specifications that require them to make their excavations safe, obviously traffic control that we deem is necessary in those parts with the local streets, and things of that nature. I mean, just general safe working sites, so we monitor that as well.
So we have a motion and a second on the bid to ski seal coating and maintenance in the amount of $1,510,461.05. Is there any further discussion? Have a roll call, clerk call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf. Aye. Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton. Ballard.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Next, Your Honor, I have a motion to approve an engineering service agreement with Chamlin and Associates for the 7th Street Water Main Improvement Project, Phase 1, not to exceed $48,000.
Do we have a second?
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I can provide some insight into this. This was a project that we were working on, or myself, internally. So we were doing all the design work in-house. However, a program came up. There is a loan forgiveness program that the project is eligible for. And part of the funds that are eligible for forgiveness are engineering fees. So I thought it was in our best interest to finish this project with the consultant so that we can have those fees reimbursed. And then I'm bringing a separate project in-house, back in-house that otherwise was with the consultant that we will now do and negate those fees as well. So we feel strongly about this project. The Phase 1 project, we're currently budgeting about $1.3 million. So this $48,000 number reflects a little less than 50% to finish the plans. We have the plans a little over 50% set right now, so they'll take it to the finish line, if you will.
This is something that we've needed for a long time. I know that we've had a lot of trouble with the water mains in that area for many, many years, so.
Yeah, and this project will start, we'll be starting on the far east end near Chicago Street and working our way back towards Pulaski.
And this goes north and south of block,
That's correct.
inclusive, right?
That's correct. And part of the project also is we'll be replacing sidewalks and curb and gutter and repaving the street. So it's a pretty large project.
It's needed repaving for a long time, too.
Yeah, and again, it's a Phase 1, so it'll be stepped, so.
Anybody else? Okay, have a roll call, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to approve a preliminary site investigation report for the North Peoria widening project from Fair Graham, not to exceed $38,500.
Have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary site investigation. Is there any discussion?
Just my question, again, this is required by the federal government for any financial terms that the federal grants the federal government will be giving us for that project. Is that correct?
That's correct. So it's actually required by both the federal and state. So one, the Unitite Drive project with the federal money in it affects that requirement, which will be the next motion. And then the fact that we're using motor fuel tax money in a reconstruction project, it is required of the Phase 1 study. So it is required by both.
Anyone else? Have a roll call, call the roll, please.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Aye. Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to approve a preliminary site investigation report for the Unitite Drive project from Fair Graham, not to exceed $31,500.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Okay, we'll have a roll call, call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Aye. Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Chief Burnaby, do you have anything? Chief King? No? That's all from Public Services, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, report city attorney ordinances, resolutions.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the sale of a 2013 Ford Interceptor sedan to the Village of Luston.
Do I have a motion to approve this resolution as written and read?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Any discussion? Have a roll call, quick call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Walder. Aye. Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Peyton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Motion approved. Anything else? Proclamations, I don't believe we have any proclamations. Unfinished business, anybody unfinished business?
Your Honor. Comes to my attention that the flags in front of City Hall are getting a little bit tattered. Could we have Public Works look at that and maybe change them out? Thank you.
Your Honor, I did have a call from a resident discussing the cemetery. In a short amount of time, they were offered to pull down the planters and those types of things that they have around the graves. And it was fairly cold outside, and some of the residents may not have been able to get it for that weekend. So I'm wondering if we could extend that time, or...
I have similarly had a couple of phone calls and actually had a site visit to the cemetery to look into the situation with the resident, and agreed that we would extend the term a little bit. Specifically, what we were hoping to do, just to utilize manpower, was to get some of the grave blankets off before the weather changed, to help the grass. Understood the situation that some people, the notice was a little short. In the past, the policy used to be April 1st, but as you know, the seasons change, and sometimes, we've had 1 year in March it was 70 degrees. So we're trying to make determinations based on weather permitting. Jeff and I work closely on it along with Les, and we're going to extend it out a little bit to give some people some more time. Of course, anything that is of value that's on a grave site that the team removes there, they set aside. We're not disposing of valuable items that may be on the grave sites. They are set in a separate area, and people are able to come and retrieve those items.
So you extended it for how long, Dave?
For 1 more week.
1 more week.
You know, just talking about the cemetery, I attended a service at the cemetery, I guess last weekend, because the weather was poor, it was inside not at the gravesite, it was inside the mausoleum, and I will say that that's the first time I've been in the mausoleum since it was refurbished, and it really looks very nice. It was a really nice place to have a memorial service, instead of when the weather was poor. So there's a couple minor things I think that need to be cleaned up, but it really was very nice. So I think that was a really good project that we worked on.
I believe, Clerk Bartley, I think there's another one in there this week.
I can't confirm that, but
Right, well,
the word's getting out in the network, and it's real positive.
because it keeps you out of the snow and the cold and the wind and the sun, and keeps you out of all the funeral directors have told me, but most of the time they need to keep the pallbearers so they don't get to go have their lunch quite at the same time as the rest of them, because they still need them at the grave site. But it's a very nice controlled environment, and it is very nice inside the building. Anybody else? New business?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm actually excited to announce and give credit to Brian Gift over at LaSalle County, but he's been organized to get an area-wide, or should I say a LaSalle County-wide, electronics recycling event back in the area. There's going to be 4 events this year, and when we spoke, I offered to host the first event, which will be at the Illinois Valley Regional Airport on the 30th of this month, which is a Saturday, I believe. So this is an intergovernmental agreement between the LaSalle County and the City of Peru for us to host that event. Some items of note: the list of items that will be accepted is a little more narrow than it had been in previous events. As an example, at previous events we would have accepted almost anything that had a power cord on it, so old vacuum cleaners and stuff like that they did take. This is a little bit more narrow as it regards to electronics, the specific type that are prohibitive in the landfills, and there will be a cost to residents that wish to dispose of televisions or monitors of any size, and that will be $25 per item of that type. and the organizers of the event, which is LaSalle County, and the contractor that will be doing it will be taking care of receiving those payments and monitoring those drop-offs. So again, that'll be March 30th, subject to the approval of this intergovernmental agreement.
Okay, do we have a motion to execute the intergovernmental agreement?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
One last thing of note, there is no cost to the city of Peru or no cost to the residents for any other items than the televisions.
Well, clarify that, though, there's no cost. The residents still are charged per TV, correct?
Correct, but
Okay.
there is no
No
cost
cost to the city
to the
for
s-
hosting it.
for hosting the event.
Right, how many events is with the county? Four?
We're gonna have four.
Separate?
For that, there aren't any dates for the other ones, but this, I wanted to get the first one here.
The disposal's becoming more and more difficult.
I don't know of any place in the region, until you go into Peoria, that you can dispose of a television right now. The time's not been set yet.
Okay. Actually, I believe this is where this is gonna go, I think is what I heard.
Correct?
To Peoria?
Peoria. And it will be a timed event, is my understanding, a timed event, not a quantity event. So there still will be challenges for people to kind of become a first come, first serve, but there will be a cutoff.
And again, to reiterate, the city is not charging a person for TV. This is a county arrangement that is held at the Peru Airport.
That's correct.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, we'll have a roll call. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Peyton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Motion approved. Petitions communication, I'm going to table this communication from Cantrell Morgan Incorporated regarding the former CVS property. Do we have any other communications?
Yes, Your Honor, I have a couple of things to go over that I received and looking for some feedback from the council and engineering on this, or building and zoning. The first is an inquiry, actually two different people working as a team that want to get a farmer's market started in Peru. So I'm just wondering, perhaps I can work with the clerk's office and maybe building and zoning to determine a favorable site. They're asking about some sites that are private property, the Peru Mall lot, the MC Sporting Good lot, but also asked about the city-owned property where the CVS buildings were that were acquired, using that for a possible location on Sunday. So if it's okay with Engineer Carls, I'll coordinate with building and zoning, and we'll work with them to try to get that in Peru.
I always thought a nice spot for a farmer's market would be Rotary Park.
Yeah. Well, they're looking, based on the locations, they're looking for what every other retailer is looking for, and that's visibility, traffic. So those are locations where there's a lot of traffic. Changing gears on the second communication is from a resident, Melody Miller, of 925 Fulton Street, and we've talked about this before, but this is the property across the street from the Dollar General that the city owns, and that resident is interested in acquiring that property and building a garage with a possible apartment above the garage, and noted that they've lived on the corner of 6th and Fulton for 55 years and owned the 915 Fulton Street for 40 years, and if the city has any interest in selling that property, that they would like to be considered.
Well, the issue is a detached garage remote. You know, that's not allowed in our ordinance. You have to have adjoining PIN number.
Are they contiguous?
What's that? I didn't.
They are contiguous.
Well, they could combine that PIN number into one PIN number and do that.
I thought, who did you say? I thought they were on the corner. There's a house in between.
They also own the house in between.
Oh, then we're fine. Okay.
So they've lived there a long time, and they noted that they will allow them to get some of their vehicles off the street.
Now, we have interest from the resident to the east of that empty lot as well. So what's anybody think?
And I believe she's...
anything officially, but they've asked.
I think she notes in the letter, if the information is accurate, that Linda Frederick lives at the 1820
Right.
6th Street,
Right.
And, they talked to them, and they have no concerns about that.
Well, there's another house to the east of the empty lot that they've inquired, not formally with correspondence, but they've inquired verbally. And I don't know how big of a, we'll have to find out, you know, what's the fairest way to do it, to offer it and maybe split the lot, because the resident to the east wanted to put up a garage as well. So,
Should we refer this over to, Building and Zoning?
Should we give a look, have Eric give a look at this?
In the ideal situation is for each resident to have the lot, put it on their real estate tax bill.
I'll meet with all neighboring residents and then we'll come back to public service committee first.
and then are you still working, Eric, on updating the map of all the properties we do have?
Yes, legislator's office on that, that's quite a long way to go.
Right, right. Because there is quite a few of them, maybe other people would be interested in putting up a garage, you know, once again, if it's contiguous to their property, so. Okay, any other petitions, communications?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, public comment, anybody, public comment? Anyone? No one? Closed session? To go into closed session for discussion of meeting minutes lawfully closed under the Act, either for the purpose of approval or by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as required by the Act. Do we have a motion?
Do we have to go on in closed session for that item?
We do. It's a requirement.
It's a requirement?
Yeah, I move that we do that.
Second.
It's a motion by Alderman, Radke, seconded by Alderman Waldorf. We'll do a roll call vote to go into executive session for the discussion of minutes lawfully closed under the Act for the purpose of the semi-annual review. Roll call, Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius. Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton. Ballard.
Okay.